very excited to welcome SIKI. SIKI is going to be changing the music business with a foundational platform built on Hedera. And we're really welcome, Chris. And we're happy to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Very excited to hear all the news about SIKI going on. And you haven't been on our spaces before. So I wonder if you'd like to tell the community what SIKI is and when it's going to be launching.
Absolutely, yeah. So SIKI's, as an overall view, it's going to be a multimedia streaming platform that's going to help monetize both creators and curators. We're starting out with music. We've been in music for a very long time. Me and my brother and pretty much everybody else in the company has been in music for a very long time. So we figured this is a good place to start with a lot of our different connections. So the whole purpose of this is, like I said, we're going to get artists to make a lot more money. But we don't call anybody fans. We call anybody who likes good content, wants to share good content. And I think that big publications shouldn't be the only people that profit off that. Things like Instagram, where they charge ads all the time, they don't actually pay anybody, right? You're going through it, you're seeing ads, and you got people who have bringing in all this content, but it's very easy to monetize a lot of these different things. In the music industry, unfortunately, they've kind of had this whole all-you-can-eat buffet sort of thing going on, so it's been harder and harder for Spotify over time to actually be able to keep up with paying realistic royalties to artists. So it's almost become, kind of a joke at this point for what people can actually make online. But then you go to the other side where you have a platform like Twitch, which keeps 50% of everything, and there's still people who are relatively unknown, pulling in $1 million a month. So, we kind of combined a lot of these different concepts together to push monetization as far as we can. So, I guess that's a brief overview of kind of everything we got.
So it sort of sounds to me that you're coming from a community-first position.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a while ago, I used to tour myself doing music, and one of my favorite platforms at the time was SoundCloud, because they had this cool feature where they had like groups, and you could put in a song and everybody would kind of communicate, and you were actually making fans online for your music, which with Spotify and Tidal and Apple and all that, they kind of don't have that. And I know SoundCloud removed that feature as well. So definitely online communities is kind of like the future of the growth, and that's why it's great to see things like metaverses coming out now, because to be honest, there is a large community that's even just like introverts. They like to be at home, they like to do their own thing, but that doesn't mean they don't like music. And some of them are the biggest supporters of music and all this different kind of stuff. So we definitely wanted to focus on, how do we build these communities? How do we bring other communities together to kind of like, share, but kind of, still have their own things. And that's kind of why we decided to also do the multi-chain thing, because not only is it good for, we start with Hedera exclusively, we kind of do our thing, but then we get to introduce Polygon to the Hedera communities, and we get to introduce other things together. And, I feel like that's the whole Web3 thing, is it's about bringing as much together as we possibly can, and then helping to educate people as well.
So with the crypto NFT media, so you'll be doing multimedia, multi-blockchain NFT creation. So it's like an engine, a marketplace, or?
Yeah, so it's a streaming platform. So right now we're going to be doing just the music side. So when you go on, you have the option of NFTing either your music or a playlist. Now on the playlist side, this is like where the Twitch concept kind of comes into play. So if you were to create, let's just say, the Hedera playlist, it's a one of one. It's like a domain, so nobody else could have that exact name. There's a chat room inside of that playlist. Now what happens is you can tip the songs or you can tip the playlist, and everybody can be talking. So it sort of creates that flex appeal that Twitch has. So also when anybody listens to a song in your playlist, you actually get paid a third of what Spotify pays its artists, just by somebody listening to a song in your playlist. So you could build this whole community and everything inside of it, and then you could sell that playlist with the community as an NFT to somebody else. So that's kind of the whole curator aspect of it that we can kind of build. And since we gamify it, the more you're helping new music, the more you're going to level up, and the more the different values that come your way. So it's not necessarily all about, let's just put all the best top 40 music or whatever we can in here and, just kind of make it the same. But it's also about like kind of finding that individuality.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying so what I'm hearing is you don't have to be, 2 million followers. You can have a few core community members that are supporting your music, and still monetize your music so that you can become, a musician, an artist.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have the personal subscription too, so they can subscribe to the Musician Monthly and they can get some songs and stuff maybe they haven't released yet, certain access, different things like that. Because, like I said, I mean, on Twitch they don't have millions and millions of followers to even make a regular living monthly. Just that community support is so much more than something like a Spotify can really give a lot of these people. And unfortunately, the only other thing that a lot of these artists look at is like OnlyFans, which nobody really wants to be associated with OnlyFans because of the whole connotation that comes with it. But for them to be able to have that personal subscription for their fans to be able to come in and support, you only need 1,000 people. I mean, less. They're paying $10 a month, and break it from there. And they're actually making a good living and they're able to sustain themselves. And the big thing that we want to help artists do is not have to jump into that first label deal that comes their way, because that's usually the roughest one. We've signed a lot of different artists. We've helped a lot of them get signed to, further major record deals. And, for a lot of artists, the hard part is that first initial jump to get through the point of, I could be self-sustaining and I could wait a little bit. Some artists have that, privilege to be able to do something like that. But other ones, it's about making sure that we can find a way to make sure that they can kind of hold on and make sure that they're taking the deal that they're most comfortable with before they kind of make that leap.
So you provide them with another way of allowing their career to grow without perhaps taking a record deal that isn't to their best advantage.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I'd also like to say hi, Alex Rustman. And Alex, as we all know, is with the H-Bar Foundation. And the H-Bar Foundation is a supporter of SIKI. How are you, Alex?
Hey, Elizabeth. Great to be on here. Feeling that. But no, it's a real pleasure working with Chris. You're really passionate about the Hedera network, and that's why it's the launch network for SIKI. But it's also a fantastic approach to introducing other communities to all of the great aspects that Hedera can offer, and you're giving artists the choice to interact with a DLT while making it very easy and accessible for them. Is a very important educational piece. Certainly, I've tuned in partly to kind of ask Chris about some of these Twitter posts we're seeing from a SIKI account. Some very, very cool people you're hanging out with, and yeah, I personally want to see them landing on Hedera, of course, but want to get any kind of sneak previews of what we'll be seeing. And is the launch event timed for middle of March? Is that when everyone's going to be able to get their hands on the app?
Yeah, we're looking at March 19th. We're actually going to be launching with Billboard and Shawn Mendes. We haven't fully announced that yet to the public, but we've already set it all in place. So, and then this past weekend, we kind of did a pre-launch thing. Obviously, DJ Clue's one of our partners, and he's very, very well connected within the whole hip-hop world, basketball, that kind of stuff. He's also business partners with Gary Vee. They own like some pizzerias together. So he introduced me to him to tell him a little bit about the platform and everything like that. I told him we're built on Hedera and everything. So he's kind of initiating a lot of these different, conversations. He's very good friends with Snoop Dogg. So we're going to see what we can do, because we know that, he just did that whole Death Row Records purchase and he wants to make it an NFT thing. So yeah, it's just about starting to initiate a lot of the different contacts that we've had over the years. And, we feel like the platform's definitely at the point now where we're ready to start introducing, obviously, some of these major names that we are speaking to. It's going to be a little bit of a process to bring them on board, because we have to educate every single record label, because they're afraid of the Royal approach, where what Royal's doing right now with NFTs is you're NFTing your entire publishing, your rights, your everything, and they just don't want to do that. Especially because when you own major music like Michael Jackson's music and different stuff like that, you wouldn't really ever want to sell it. So we look at this more like this is a window into the crypto space. So you're really just kind of NFTing the profits and stuff that would be made within crypto, metaverses, everything like that, which they love because they want to do the NFTs, they want to do the collectibles, but we let them keep the Spotify, their publishing and everything like that. But if the future is crypto at the end of the day, then that ends up being worth more down the road. You know what I mean? So, and they're okay with that risk. So it's definitely something that we're just working with them and educating, but they're all very excited. The artists themselves all want to jump on board tomorrow, but a lot of them have these 360 deals where we got to go through all the higher ups to make sure that we can kind of lead that over.
So what you're saying is that an artist can come on the SIKI platform and still be on other platforms.
Yeah, there's no exclusivity whatsoever. You can be on every single. We tell a lot of them it's like being on Deezer. A lot of people aren't really familiar with Deezer, but all music is on it. I think it's really big in Germany, actually, but it's just one of these other things where we're just another one. They can get into the crypto, they can get their feet wet. And like I said, we've been talking with different metaverses like Decentraland and stuff like that, and just kind of everywhere it goes, we're just making sure that artists are getting paid. So it's another sort of security for them because there's so much decentralized music platforms out there where it's just kind of like steal everything. Like Audius just had that problem where, everybody's stuff was getting copyright or they're just getting stolen and uploaded. And they kind of publicly came out and said that's not really like their problem, which, should be kind of their problem because it's one of those things where it's your platform,
Well, sure. I mean, but it also sounds like you've kind of solved that problem by making the music an NFT.
In a way, because when they go to mint the NFT, like there's a process, right? So we're verifying people internally. We are semi-centralized to that point because we want to make sure that we have that sort of access to review and everything. So you'll see people with verified profiles, which means we know for a fact that's them, and you could just buy and it'll happen all instantly. If it's a new person, there'll be a little bit of a, in the beginning, a little bit of a manual kind of review on our side, but we also are partnering with some companies like PEX and other things that actually help us. Within 5 seconds, they can make sure that it's actually their music and different stuff like that. But we will be putting out like a whole review of how to educate people to make sure that they're buying an NFT from this person, because if we have to take it down, it could get a little messy. But, you just do simple things like go to their Instagram pages, making sure that they're actually promoting it. If they're not saying they're doing anything like that, then there's a good chance that that's not really an NFT from them. But then we also have you could flag something if you're like, hey, this is suspicious. This doesn't seem like this would be a Justin Bieber NFT profile. He's not promoting it or whatever it is. Because there's just going to be, if we do hit mass adoption that quick, there's just going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to have to obviously sift through until we work with the major catalog companies to kind of onboard.
I see. So, but this is going to be an app, right? So you're going to download it on the iOS or the Android?
It's an app, yeah, with both of those. And we also have a web portal because obviously uploading music and stuff is much easier through the web. The web portal also, I think since we have more space, it's kind of a little bit more intuitive, especially for having the group chat happening at the same time while you're in the playlists and different things like that. And like I said, after this version, we go into posts and video. And the cool thing of that is if you make a video and you use a song, it's already built into the NFT smart contract, so the royalties instantly paid to them. And then we'll also go into live streaming as well after that. But these are things that, again, we're going to test out the music side, make sure everything there's solidified. We have a couple more concepts we haven't even put in our white paper yet that will also be launching within the next couple months that are pretty exciting.
And what kind of smart contracts are you going to be using? Hedera?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be based on which one they choose that they want to NFT with when the user comes in. Initially, obviously, it's all just Hedera based. So we have the smart contract already built into the NFT. We're onboarding the ERC 1155 right now, so we can have the fractionalization aspect of it. So like some of the larger artists, it's not just a one of one; they could do one of 1,000. We've talked to certain artists that are pretty big too, and they're very excited about it, and they're going to offer certain things like, hey, if you own this, you get a random chance at a raffle of being in a music video or free tickets, and aside from it just being the collectible and the different royalties and things like that, because it will be some time before you're getting the same streams as Spotify where it's like 40 million or whatever it is. So we're making sure that they help incentivize their fans on like a big way to make sure that they're they're happy with the product that they purchase.
Well, Alex, what do you think about that architecture for the platform?
Well, Siki's been building with us before the smart contracts even launched, and I know Chris is a fan of the royalty features and functionality within the Hedera token service. So there's a lot of functionality coming right out of the box with the first app launch, as I understand. But this also goes beyond just the music NFTs. Chris, the first version of the app you said is launching with the social functions as well. So people will be really staying within the app and creating these communities around the assets.
So the chat room specifically will probably launch around 2 weeks right after we do the initial launch. The initial launch, we want to go through all the onboarding, everything like that. And then we're going to bring into each playlist, it'll have the chat rooms in there. But yeah, the social feature itself, it's a whole nother round of testing that we're going to do. And then we'll probably allow for auctions probably around 30 days also after the launch. Because obviously we want to make sure that all the artists that are on board have enough time for them to promote, enough time for us to make sure we get all of like our different investment groups and different like things like that on there. Because from some of the bigger artists, like one of the main questions is, the first one that comes right off the bat, they'll ask is like, because there's the whole, is it green? Is it green friendly? And I'm like, well, that's Hedera's the most green friendly because it's actually carbon negative, which they're excited about. And then they're like, well, is the community there? And I usually say, like, I think this is one of the most responsive communities we've worked with so far, like out of all the different ones between Polygon and Elron and stuff like that. And maybe that's because the time frames or whatever, but they're definitely excited. So it's going to be a good time for them to see when we bring some of that music on, if it works, they're happy to be with it. Like I said, the whole green positive thing is a big thing for a lot of these different artists.
Yes, we still get so many questions and concerns, especially from B2B businesses or businesses taking Hedera as a solution and offering to artists and creatives. That's always one of the first things that comes up. It's is it sustainable? And certainly we've seen a bit of a backlash to NFTs across the board this year, which has been kind of really interesting to observe. You don't actually have to stray too far on social media or TikTok to kind of find a bit of a diatribe against NFTs. There is a lot of FUD out there about the core technology behind NFTs being linked 100% to Ethereum. So it's such a big educational piece that kind of still needs to be happen. That still needs to kind of take place and happen. And is that something that you're seeing as well, Chris? Obviously, you're pitching the Hedera network is a big solution to that, but you're seeing kind of artists and creatives be very hesitant about engaging with NFTs prior to learning about these better solutions.
Yeah, it's a mix. Honestly, some artists they're like, hey, I just want to do this to make as much money as possible, and then some of them, they know their fan base is very well, and they want to make sure that it's something that's going to not have any blowback to them or anything like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it was great. Like a lot, like. It's funny because in the beginning, probably in September, when I'd tell people, hey, Hedera, they wouldn't even know what it was, and I'd have to explain the whole thing to them. But now it's kind of getting to the point where everybody sort of knows what it is right off the bat because, it's been having a pretty good year so far. So that's just good to see because it's less that we have to do to explain and more that they already know. So that's really good.
Well, education is, as Lehman likes to say, we're all very early, and education is going to be the learning curve for so many people. But I think once they get into your platform, the average user doesn't care what it is. They don't know that it's going to be Hedera or the smart contracts. They just know if they're having fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're going to be, they will see when they go to, like, let's say they pick, when they click the list of which, what am I going to NFT with, which blockchain or whichever one is going to be, it'll show like Hedera, it'll have like the green leaf, it'll show the price and everything like that. So it's going to show them like the basics of what reflects them immediately. And then there'll be other ones where it's like, oh, well, the gas fees on this are way, way more expensive. So it kind of gives them that first layer of like, this is what it's like to use these different things. And this is how it's going to like affect me as this NFT goes out there. So that's kind of a cool thing. And, we want to add as much education as we can. That's why I definitely feel like once we get to live streaming and posting and videos, I think that'll be a great time to really kind of help bring everybody into it. But it's, again, this is going to be a lot of a mainstream audience that comes onto this platform too. So, it's going to be a great time to start introducing new people to the whole space.
Well, yeah, it'll be great for Hedera because they'll become familiar with it for the first time.
Yeah, and pretty much everybody that comes on the platform, they immediately get a Hedera wallet right off the bat because obviously we're built with it. So that's going to definitely bring a lot of Hedera wallets as we continue to grow because that's just automatically that comes with it. You wouldn't really get a Polygon or any of these other kind of wallets unless you go to purchase some Polygon or onboard it or something like that. That's when those wallets would kind of keep getting added to your wallet section.
Well, let's talk about the wallet for a minute because you're going to have your own SIKI coin, right?
Yeah, we have a SIKI token, yeah.
So what is, it's called SIKI, just SIKI for the token?
Yep.
And that's the transactional currency that's going to be used on the platform?
It's one of them, yeah. You will be able to, you can onboard HBAR to it right away as well. There is, that's built in there as well. We didn't want to make it like exclusively just our token because we believe in the Web3 aspect of everything. But there is some different advantages from using the SIKI token specifically. So yeah, but it's definitely like if you want to tip somebody, you can tip them in whatever you want. If you want to choose to tip somebody in HBAR, that's perfectly fine. Or you can tip them in SIKI or anything else really. So we did partner with MoonPay, so it's kind of like we're onboarding based on what they have access to because they handle a lot of our KYC and a lot of different stuff like that. So,
And is the beta up now, or?
The beta is, so we're just fine tuning some things, right? We redid all the visuals because the first thing was like, all right, let's program this, make sure it all like works. And now that it all works and everything's functioning, we're excited. We're just finishing some visuals, putting up some different banners, solidifying a lot of things with the launch, a lot of different announcements. That's going to come with it at the same time. One of the things that we're actually going to be doing is Siki's actually going to be giving away $1.5 million to the mix between creators and curators. So if you're helping a lot of music and different things like that, you have a chance at the top to win $500,000. And if you make music, you have a chance to win $500,000. And this is going to run over the course of like a year because we want to just see who does the best. So we're going to be announcing that also in around like 30 days, like right around our launch with Billboard and everything. But the only way to actually be in this is going to be you have to NFT on Hedera because that's kind of like what we're starting with. That's what we're built within. So if you did it on Polygon, you wouldn't necessarily even be in that competition. That would be maybe something else. I don't know.
I see. But you're talking about dollars or HBARs?
We could give it. We wanted to give it in HBARs. So I mean, it just depends when we get to that point. But yeah, we want to give it in Hedera. That's kind of been our go-to with most of our giveaways that we've done.
I think everyone on this call could probably do with more HBAR. So how do we participate? Actually, I should probably I'll excuse myself from a competition. Those are kind of related in a business way. But how does one, asking for a friend, as it were, how does one get involved here, Chris? Do you have to be an artist? Can you also be just a user of the platform? I'm definitely not too talented in the music creation space, but maybe I have like decent taste or curation abilities.
Yeah, so yeah, it's both sides. So if you're an artist, there's going to be, like I said, you could win 500,000 as the top one, and then as a curator, you could win 500,000 as the top one, and then the rest 500,000 will be broken down amongst a lot of other people. But yeah, so if you're a curator, it's about creating playlists. We gamify everything. So every time you listen to a song, you're going to go up in your curator because you listen to a lot of music. Every time you tip somebody, every time you purchase an NFT, and then on the artist side, it's every time you sell an NFT, and every time you receive listens from other people and different things like that. So you'll see all the leveling and everything in there. But like I said, the more you interact with Hedera NFTs, whether it's the playlist or the music itself, those are really the stats that are going to be accumulated to this specific competition.
That's kind of stunning. I think that will really get engagement from our community, the fact that you could do that. And so you're talking about tipping people and things like that. Is that in micropayments and tiny bars?
I mean, you could tip them in just regular Hedera, SIKI, anything like that, just direct. I mean, whatever you wanted to tip them in, it's kind of up to the user. And they could tip in Polygon, or if we decide to onboard Doge, because people just like to have fun with some of the weird coins and tip them around, we might onboard some of that stuff. But obviously that's not something you'd actually create an NFT with, but
Lance, what have you been hearing so far? Your comments?
Sure, thanks. No, what I'm hearing I like. It's pretty exciting. I mean, obviously this is an industry that's just primed for disruption. It's an industry where the artists and the creators themselves don't really keep nearly enough of a percentage of the pie. So I think it's awesome. And I look at what you're doing now as probably, early steps and, what you can move into with concerts, with NFT ownership of songs and everything. It's just going to grow and expand. And I really think it's cool that you're building it on Hedera, and yet you're still going to eventually be multi-chain and expose a lot of new people to Hedera. Get a lot of people set up with Hedera wallets that maybe today don't have Hedera wallets. So I think it's just all around exciting for what you're building and for the community here. And I hope I get to win one of these 500,000 in HBAR contests. I'll be doing my best, man. I know Alex wanted to ask, how can we participate? I just want to ask, how can I win? If you got some info for me, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, we are also going to be giving away soon, actually. I announced it a few. We're trying to figure it out, so maybe the community can help me too. But so I want to NFT the Hedera playlist, the H Barbarian playlist, And I want to give that to somebody in the community who thinks that they could really like, stay on top of it, make sure we're switching out the music and the chat rooms and everything that's going in. So, we're thinking about maybe we do a vote through our Discord and try to figure out who would be best to kind of suit that, because we don't want to just necessarily give it away and then somebody kind of disappears on it or something, because obviously that's one that I think will have, to begin with, a pretty strong community right off the bat.
So a Hederian that isn't really into music would be a perfect match for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
H Barbarian Coin Man is here. What do you think about that, Coin Man? You could be the H Barbarian. So basically, you're saying that the more engagement that a community member has on the platform, the more they benefit from both the music and from micropayments.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, too, is like, with the Hedera community, like, if let's just say the Hedera playlists are the ones that are getting the most streams and the most tips, you're going to start like, it comes down to community strength for the artists. Is like, which community is getting the most support? That's where I want to release my music at the end of the day. That's where they're always going to want to go. So like a really strong supportive community is going to be what wins in the end. So we're trying to make sure that we can incentivize, kind of bring everybody in so that they can kind of like see as they're using it, like, oh, these are why all these different features kind of come together and really make this, a thing where it could literally be just a profitable thing for somebody to just kind of be there creating playlists and, talking with the community, bringing artists on board to talk within the playlist. Because even if you're in a specific area, let's just say you're in Memphis and you have the most popular playlist for Memphis itself, there's going to be artists touring through there that could be like, hey, throw me on this playlist, and, I'll come in, I'll chat on everything in your playlist chat room. And, it could definitely be a thing to build a really strong community in the music space.
And are there multiple playlists that people can have?
Yeah, you could NFT as many as you want. It's just the names are one of one. So once you get that name, that's it at that point. Nobody else can have that specific one unless they purchased it from you.
I see. And your minting will be done on platform?
Yep, it'll be done in the platform directly. You just kind of go in and you'll mint it. And there's certain ways to make it a little bit cheaper. Like I said, if you're a subscriber or you're paying in SIKI tokens, different things like that will help bring down the cost and everything, which the cost, obviously, it's nowhere near anything like Ethereum, but just to have little other incentives.
Hi, welcome, Gianni.
Hey, how you guys doing?
That's great to have you on board.
Yeah, so Gianni, just so you know, he is the head of, he works with all the big TikTokers out here and, the whole new revolution that's been going on there with, the younger crowds and everything. So he's been bringing a lot of these big names over to the house, so we've been able to, kind of educate them on the whole process and everything. But, yeah, Gianni, if you want to give a little bit more on your background as well.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, first off, nice to meet you guys. I got onboarded to SIKI a couple months ago, but just a little background about myself. I'm in the TikTok scene, so I'd like to say I'm a big marketing analyst. I helped a lot of the biggest TikTokers grow and scale their platforms on TikTok early on, about 2 years ago. So I just have a lot of TikTok relations and artist relations, so I try to onboard them as far as our beta for SIKI. So I just try to help out SIKI progress as fast as we possibly can before the beta launches.
Yeah, he'll also be releasing his whole album that's going to be coming out soon on SIKI and NFTing it with Hedera. So it's going to be pretty exciting. I've already heard the music. It's pretty awesome.
Well, I love the fact that you're including all kinds of musicians, not just musicians that are big names, that you're doing it with up-and-coming artists or anybody who wants to become an artist.
Absolutely. The big names are cool to just help everybody else too, right? To help the co-sign of the whole platform. But really what's going to help us grow the most is when the big names see the up-and-coming artists making more money than them. And you know what I mean? They're not even getting the same amount of streams and stuff like that. So it's going to kind of work in that reverse effect because, we've had some conversations with all the way up to the Taylor Swifts and stuff, and they want, crazy amounts of money to come on board. But like I said, for us, it's the people that need the most help aren't the Taylor Swifts at this moment. You know what I mean? It's the up and coming artists and everything like that. And, we've spent so much time in the industry helping artists grow, signing them, bringing them to record labels, producing for them, all these different things that, that's kind of why this whole concept came about.
Well, I just think it's great to have a place where up-and-coming artists can really grow the community and get some sort of stable income so that they can keep creating their music.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have another person from Sikhi here. I don't know if you've seen, but Reisler. He's one of the artists that actually was signed with us for a little bit. He's possibly, we're not sure, going to get out of his RCA deal soon. We don't know, but he's got a lot of really good music. He's super excited for Sikhi as well, and onboarding all his stuff. But yeah, he's done amazing stuff since he started, a few years ago. Actually, I don't even know when he specifically started. He's probably been around for even before that. But yeah, definitely, like I said, a lot of up and coming artists that when you hear the quality of it, it's just going to be like, we think people are going to like the platform because it's going to be like, where else would you have really like been able to hear this stuff and like find it? Because Spotify's kind of like pay to be promoted now, because all these other big labels came in and invested in it and everything. So we find it like it's a cool way with the gamification to really kind of maybe hopefully create this organic way for people to be discovered.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Phil Fizz is on, and you have a comment for our panel. I'm really excited. So when the beta is ready, is that in like 2 weeks, and then you'll launch 2 weeks later?
Well, it's technically kind of ready right now, so we're just going to launch it on the 19th when we do the whole Billboard event with Shawn Mendes and everything. So Billboard's going to put us through all the press. We're going to work with Rolling Stone too, and all that kind of stuff to get it out there. But that's kind of the point where we see everybody onboarding their music, listening to it, creating their playlists, getting everything kind of like, ready as people come on. And then we're going to look to actually start doing like allowing for auctioning and different stuff like that. We might just wait a little bit on that. You could sell directly for a flat fee if you really want to in the beginning. It's just like we wanted to like I said, kind of bring it out in small pieces as we go, just to make sure that everything's functioning properly.
Right, absolutely. Well, that's just kind of crazy. I think it's going to be a really, I love the community aspect. I love the playlist aspect. I love that it's driven by the community in terms of engagement. And with the SIKI token and H-bars and your giveaway contests, I think it's going to be a very appealing place for a lot of people. Well, Gianni, what are you doing? You've been promoting with people on TikTok. How do you see promoting SIKI to the community?
I think it's going to be huge. Only an aspect that you were mentioning earlier, that you like how we also have a focus on like up and coming artists and up and coming influencers. I think that's where we're going to thrive the most, because some of the people that are already famous and some of the biggest artists, they don't really, I think they don't really need it as much, right? So when they see an up and coming influencer, right? I like to call these TikTokers influencers because they do much more than just TikTok. But when you see like an up and coming influencer or artist on the platform and they don't have the biggest following and they're making this amount of money just off their own small fan bases that are really engaged with them, I think that's where we're really going to thrive. And then all the, I would like to say, like the famous artists and famous influencers are going to come along because they're going to, see what's going on with SIKI. But as far as promotion on TikTok, I think it's going to be fairly easy. I think SIKI is something very new that everyone's kind of waiting for, because TikTok is very big here in the US and around the world, but it's kind of been around for like the past 2 years. I feel like I had a big boom during COVID, but people are always searching for something bigger and better. I think that's where we're going to thrive as far as marketing for SIKI.
Well, with TikTok, you don't get that real community aspect of playlists that we're talking about here with SIKI.
Yeah, no, and also, they also have restrictions on certain things to promote on crypto. You can promote companies that are, involved with crypto, but you can't necessarily promote crypto itself, like any crypto tokens or stuff like that. They made some regulations, at least here in the U.S., the past couple months. Like I would like to say, like 6 months ago, there's a big boom in like a lot of the altcoins. But yeah, no, that's why I see SIKI being bigger, because it's just much more than that,
Yeah, completely. Well, the space keeps changing every day, so it's hard to keep up with all the regulations, and that's one of the things I'm hoping that Hedera helps solve, because it's ripe for regulation already from the ground up, and it's secure and trusted. So I'm hoping that Hedera does get to that layer of trust that we all know it can provide users.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely not about saying no to Warner Brothers, or you know what I mean? Because Warner makes all these movies and all these things, and if you don't want your music ever listed in one of their stuff ever again, that's kind of how you do it. So by us kind of partnering with them, each label will kind of have their own wallet where all these tips are coming in. They could say, hey, we're down to receive crypto, or they could say, we just want to receive USD, or, then if you tipped an HBAR, we would kind of transfer it over and they would just get the regular USD for whatever their shares are. But we definitely want to make sure that, it's not like one of these things where it's like, hey, I've just NFT'd my music, and then a label comes in and it's like, oh, well, now we can't sign you because all your stuff was NFT'd. We want to make sure that, that's the roughest thing for new artists is signing their publishing too soon or doing all these different things. And NFT kind of has that same sort of, vibe to it, because the thing is that they could say, hey, this is technically security now. United States is kind of wild with what they do. And then you can't even stream your music in the United States anymore. So there's just certain things there, and we're watching it very closely. Our attorneys are some of the biggest music attorneys that work with some of the biggest artists. And, we've been going over with the labels the best ways to kind of set this up. Also because it's like, maybe they own 89% of the streaming royalties, but because we're selling an NFT, it's not necessarily the same thing. It's more like, it's almost like merchandise. So we're also trying to negotiate with them, like making sure the artist can actually keep a good amount of that as well. So like I said, with the major artists, it's good to have them around. It's good to have their support. Like we have some on the platform right now that they'll be able to engage and stuff. But once we can get their music on, that's kind of just depends on, how these labels want to, proceed forward. But they're all very interested. Like we spoke to Atlantic Records a bunch of their artists are already on our platform. They're very down with doing it. It's just some of these labels, they don't have like a blockchain person to make that kind of decision yet.
Yeah, I think that's really important to note that you're providing a service actually to the music industry that a lot of the music industry is not yet able to provide their own artists.
Yeah, and it's funny, some of the artists that we're actually bringing on, they're already into some NFT stuff, and like the heads of the labels are calling them and saying like, hey, how do you think we should go about doing this? So it's funny to see kind of how it's a little Wild West right like that right now.
It's totally the Wild West. We're always saying that we're pioneers here in Hedera. So when you talk about your roadmap for the future, it includes in the future, after your music launch and the tokens and everything, it includes like live video streaming for artists playing. Would they be able to play music live streaming? Is that your thoughts?
So there's the live streaming aspect of, like I said, I mean, even just what they do now when they live stream, like I said, Twitch keeps 50% of everything. We can let people keep up to 90%. So already some of the biggest Twitch streamers are like, once you're done, I'm jumping on your platform. You know what I mean? Because it's like people go to Twitch to see them. They don't go to Twitch because they need to be on Twitch. So it's going to be a mix of that. But also we're going to be doing a lot of live music stuff. So it's like, let's just say you're playing a room for 500 people, but you work with SIKI. So now you could also live stream that same show. So now instead of 500 people, maybe you got 1,500 people watching you. And, people can tip from there. You can get it on your phone, like, hey, this is your biggest tipper. And then at that live show, they could shout out like, hey, thanks to this person, I see, whatever it is. So you can still kind of create that engagement and cross those different paths, which is actually kind of funny because we had a meeting 2 weeks ago. We didn't expect for this to happen, but pretty much somebody came up to us, said they wanted to buy us a venue in LA to throw concerts and have SIKI events that everybody on the platform could come in. We could do like showcases and stuff like that. So, we just begun the discussion of it. I mean, it's interesting, but we just got to make sure that there's enough time for us to do all that kind of stuff. But there's the roadmap is like, it's a cool concept of like, hey, this is all the things we're going to do. But there's just so many other like really cool things that keep kind of popping up around us that we're just trying to bridge all these gaps at the same time.
Yeah. Why don't you talk a little bit about for the users, like if our Hederians were to come on your platform and they create an account, how does that work? Do they have a profile? Tell us a little bit what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm going to get this video out. I wanted to tighten up a couple of things so I can show the walkthroughs to everybody exactly what it looks like. But yeah, you have your profile. People can subscribe to you as well. People can tip you as well. You don't need to be an artist to have any of those kind of features. You have a dashboard that's like all your stats, and they're all gamified. So you'll see how many views you have, what level that is. I think it all looks pretty cool. And then, like I said, you go in, you create your playlist. Like for now, it's just going to be your playlist, and people can tip the playlist. Once we add in that social feature, which is the chat room as well, which, like I said, will probably come just 2 weeks after around when we actually do the launch itself. And like I said, you can onboard your Hedera directly to your wallet on there. People can purchase it through MoonPay. There's only going to be a couple things that you can buy. And actually, in the beginning, it's probably just going to be like USDC, Hedera, and that's probably going to be it for now until we, figure out everybody else and how they want to come on board and different things like that. But yeah, we definitely have some exciting events too coming up that are going to be pretty cool as well. I can't really go past March right now, but yeah, there's definitely some more exciting things coming up.
Right. Well, that's a lot for right now too. So, Alex, when you hear about this multi-chain music streaming, what are your thoughts in terms of it disrupting the music industry?
Well, certainly, I think to be candid, when I hear multi-chain, I think of how can Hedera stand out amongst the other chains, and certainly, I think Chris will agree that I'm always kind of pushing to understand how it's going to be Hedera users, Hedera assets, and how we're going to see growth on the network. And through this year, we are going to see really aggressive growth, and I think SIKI is going to be a great driver of that, because these kind of cultural assets, these music assets, are about introducing people to new technology and the underlying networks behind these assets. As we already heard, artists are saying, okay, if I'm doing an NFT, I want to know what's powering that NFT. I want to know what's behind that token. And certainly the thing that gets me most excited is the SIKI token itself living on the Hedera network. And so as we see users from other networks being introduced to SIKI, they're going to be introduced to the token itself and kind of have that educational piece about Hedera. And that was the other thing that came up in this conversation as well. More and more people are going, oh, wait, yeah, I've come across Hedera. I have a good impression of that. Let's work with that network. So that sort of gets me very excited. I am incredibly biased. I'm a big fan of the Polygon network and the team over there. They're all great chaps, or gals and girls, and guys. But no, it's for me, the bottom line is, there's Hedera metrics, as anyone who's ever had a prolonged discussion with me will know.
And yeah, I totally agree. Because we've been Polygon, everybody else, they tried to offer us the exclusivity thing too. But from a platform standpoint, if we kind of pick one thing and stick with there, we're going to be beaten. It's inevitable that in the future it's going to be multi-chain everything. Even OpenSea now is pushing more for multi-chain. Obviously, we built on Hedera, so that's what we chose from the get-go. I think it was about 2 years ago. We were like, yeah, that's where we want to be. And then the biggest thing for Hedera is the community, right? That's what's going to make Hedera stand out the most. The payments and all these other things, they're all good, but as long as the community is strong within the platform, they're going to grow unlike anything else. And I know Polygon, we spoke to them a bit. They're talking about building similar things, and everybody's trying to set that up. But yeah, for us, it's just about making sure that there's enough longevity, and that we can have the main ones that we really want to focus on kind of there, and bring them together, and everybody can kind of, we can kind of take over this whole sort of space.
So from when you thought of this as an idea, and then you just, that Hedera was the platform that you wanted to build on, how long have you been working towards your goal of launching next month?
So Hedera, it was instantly Hedera. That's the first group we knew we wanted to work with. Actually just DM'd the Hedera team, because every single programmer that I was calling, they kept saying, oh, we'll build you two on Ethereum, and they're just building these little websites. And I was like, no, it's just unrealistic, the gas fees and everything for artists to work anything like that. And Hedera I could just tell a lot was going to go for it, and especially since I knew it was going to take some time, I was like, I feel like this is just going to synergize and everything's going to launch at the right time. So they actually introduced me with some of the developers that helped build Hedera. So that was kind of cool that they came on board. They've been amazing since day one. So we probably started programming it and kind of getting everything in motion January of last year, and then conceptualizing all before that. But yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a road to get to this point where we are now.
Oh, that's really good to hear. So the welcoming aspect of Hedera wanting you to be successful was an important element in you continuing to build on Hedera then.
Yeah, they pretty much responded to me from the Hedera Twitter page. They responded to me the next day and said, oh, perfect. Yeah, here, talk to these guys. And I talked to them within a week, and, everything just moves so smoothly where, that's probably the biggest thing. Because, like I said, working with a lot of these different blockchains, I know different people get busy and things like that, but definitely it's a core function for us to make sure that everything is moving at a quick pace, because a lot of times, even with something like Solana, right? I like Solana. I think that they could be cool to have on the platform and everything like that. They've got a great community, but they went down for 6 days the other week, and they didn't really say anything about it. And what happens is that the users, because they're not really familiar with crypto, are going to say, "Oh, Siki's down," when it's like, we're not down. You know what I mean? All the NFTs from Solana are down right now. So, it's just like for us to kind of create that core function of like, this is where we think people should put things, because there's a stability to it, and I do think Polygon's got a strong stability to it as well. I know Hedera and Polygon are working on a lot of stuff together right now too, which is cool to create a lot of those different synergies as well.
Yeah, I think from a business owner's perspective, you have to have the reliability of the network so that you're up when you're supposed to be up. And also the thing that appeals to a lot of us in the Hedera community is the cost. So as a business owner, you have a fee that you can predict that you're going to be paying. Whereas in Ethereum or something, the gas fees go up, down, and all around, and you don't know a cost. It's going to be a lot. And so that's a negative right there. But the stability of the fee structure of Hedera also has to be appealing from a business perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it comes back to the mainstream people, and I refer to them as pretty much the people that just aren't familiar with crypto to this level, right? So when they come on board and they do something one day and it costs something different from the next day, they're going to immediately say, Siki's scamming me. Why did I spend more today than yesterday? They're not going to think, oh, it's probably the Ethereum gas prices or anything like that, which, we have to educate as much as we possibly can. But, people always slip through the cracks and they don't read certain things. And, next thing you know, that's where we are with everything. So it's definitely good to, like I said, the fact that it's just that transparent and it's very easy to kind of show people this is what everything is. It's definitely useful.
Lance, you want to go ahead and comment on the Hedera network and the fees, or?
Well, obviously the fees are incredibly low. I don't think you could build on a more efficient network than what you did. I guess I know you've touched on a little bit on the Sikhi coin, but I'm curious if you can just share more about the whole plans around the token, how it's going to be rolled out, how it's going to be purchased, what utility it'll have.
No, I didn't go too much into that yet. So the Sikhi token, we didn't want to release that until after our platform was built and it's out there. We want people to feel comfortable with our platform. That's why we did mostly like internal and like friends and family kind of funding to get up to this point. But the utilities with it are going to be, cheaper NFT purchases, cheaper subscriptions. You're going to be able to buy certain NFTs that you can only buy with the Sikhi token itself. In the beginning, it's one of the main tokens. Obviously, you might get more royalties if you're paid in Sikhi tokens. So there's just going to be a lot of different ongoing things. We're working with the ideas of staking and things like that, but we're just trying to be as compliant as we can with the United States, because we don't want to have the whole now you got to be only overseas kind of a thing going on. So on the platform, though, you can buy it directly, the Sikhi token. We have spoken to a bunch of different exchanges about everything and a bunch of different IDOs. There's actually like a Solana IDO that originally only did that, but they want to take our project in anyway. So we're just working with them to figure out, how to onboard a Hedera wallet into their IDO so that they could actually even set this up. So there's been a lot of like conversations like going for that for sure. We're just, like I said, with our attorneys, it's very, you can only say so much, which is an unfortunate thing because, it's clearly a utility. I don't think it could get any more of a utility than kind of what we're using it for. But yeah, definitely going to have more information on that coming up soon.
Thanks. Appreciate that. And yeah, I get it. It's totally a challenging time with murky waters and not a lot of clarity. So unfortunately, it makes it pretty tough to do digital innovations here in the U.S. Thanks, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that in general goes back to our government regulations, hopefully not being silly and saying any NFT is an asset rather than, a utility. So we really encourage all of our Hederians to understand what our government is doing, even though they keep changing all the time. But I think the token aspect of utility within the platform is going to be very cool.
Yeah, and we I also met with some people over at Coinbase. I guess he was the head of investment development, or I forgot the exact position, but he's pretty up there. So he threw the whole event with Gary Vee, and we spoke to him a lot about synergies. We're speaking a little bit with the Voyager team as well to figure out, we really don't want to have to be an exchange at the end of the day or have to do any of that kind of stuff. But since it's multi-chain and we have all these different things, it's like, you start getting into the ability to like swap and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just with all of the logistics and legalities in there, it's kind of just figuring out like how do we set this up, make it as smooth as possible. Luckily overseas, it's pretty easy. Like everybody can kind of just do what they want to do, which is it's definitely a benefit. And we started talking to some big labels overseas in the Netherlands, and we're talking to Warner Brothers Latin, which works with like some big artists like Anita and all these other people. So we're definitely going to get it together to start branching out a little bit further as well.
Yeah, Europe is really being much more welcoming, I think, in general to the space than the United States has been up until this point. And we can only hope that they actually, our congressmen, do get hip to the fact that we need to be a leader in crypto.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, too, because it's like, you know, honestly, we saw it kind of just happen with cannabis, where it was like, you know, just make it legal and you're going to make a lot of money. And then they did it and they made a lot of money, and everybody's just saying like, all right, well, now it's crypto. You just work with it. You're going to make a lot of money. And, you know, now they're just still dragging their feet. It's like sometimes you just got to listen to the masses.
Right. So why don't you go over a little bit? People have joined us since you announced how the giveaway is going to happen and when the date of the launch is.
Yeah, so the launch will be at South by Southwest on March 19th. That's the day we're going to launch it. We'll be there with Billboard, and Shawn Mendes will be performing this whole thing. So we're going to try to push as much media as we can about how we're launching with Hedera. We're going to announce the $1.5 million giveaway that we're going to be doing to both curators and creators. So yeah, if you create playlists and you help music and you purchase NFTs that are successful and different things like that, you could win up to $500,000. And then as an artist, if your content does really well on the platform, you could also win up to $500,000. And then the other $500,000 will just be, you know, split amongst a lot of other people and different things like that. So, I mean, pretty much anybody who's on the platform has an opportunity to win this. But the main thing that you're going to have to do is NFT on Hedera when you set it up. So we'll probably announce the launch of that, probably also be around 30 days after the actual launch on the 19th, just to make sure we can get everybody on board and give them at least a fighting chance, as opposed to because pretty much only Hedera, you know, fans really know about this at the moment.
Well, I think maybe your launch is going to introduce a lot of people to Hedera, since they'll want to get on board with SIKI with the music aspect. And by being on your platform, you're doing the whole ecosystem of Hedera. Really good service, Chris, and we really appreciate you building your platform on Hedera.
No, absolutely. I appreciate the community. It's definitely helped push us in a great direction, and you know, it's made it pretty much effortless for us to, you know, walk into some of these, you know, really large VC rooms and different things like that. You know, and the people who know, they know. You know, a lot of people, like some big VCs, have said to me that they're very happy that we chose Hedera, which, like I said, it's as time goes on, more and more, it's like more people get educated, and then, you know, it makes me look even smarter and smarter to these people. So it's great.
That's great. Well, we're coming up to the top of the hour of our talk. So I just wanted to ask Gianni if you have any parting words for our community about SIKI.
I mean, I guess all I have to say is I'm very excited to be a part of SIKI and definitely excited to be a part of the Hedera community now. I definitely learned so much this past couple months being onboarded on SIKI by Hedera, and very excited to see what the future holds for Hedera and SIKI in general.
Well, we'll have to follow you, and welcome to the community. We really appreciate any new people coming into our community, and you're going to add a lot of value to it. So welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And Alex, we're at the top of the hour. So would you like to say anything to the community about what's going on at the foundation or with SIKI, or anything you want to say?
I don't steal the limelight from Chris too much, but I would definitely say keep on watching the updates from SIKI. Certainly I get wonderful surprises, both from Chris himself and just from you following the Twitter account. In terms of the foundation, we've got, I don't like being one of those people who does announcements about announcements, but we've got some really, really exciting stuff in the pipeline in the consumer engagement space and fund being announced in the next 2 months. So it's an incredible year. Really, really exciting year. And it's fantastic to see these projects actually going live, not just being announced. So lots of users, lots of assets coming to Hedera. Really great work, everyone. And thank you for your support.
Yeah, we're very supportive of the foundation and all the work that you're doing there. And we really appreciate the transparency that the foundation is giving us in terms of keeping the community involved and noticed, and it's just really great. And as the foundation matures, it's just wonderful to see all kinds of new things coming to the community. And Chris, would you like to have some parting words before we end the spaces?
Just, I appreciate everybody for their support, and, it's our job to kind of make this the biggest thing as we possibly can. And like Alex said, just keep watching the Twitter and everything. We have a lot of really big announcements. We also have a lot of announcements that are just pending, and, we're waiting for some final answers on. But, I think this is going to be a really big year for Hedera, and I'm excited to kind of introduce everybody to this whole community. And, just keep in mind, the stronger the community is on the platform, the more and more I can even push it to some of these big names and big artists to kind of help grow it as much as we can from our end.
I'm very excited about it because I really love music. I play music all the time, and to have a space that I can be part of the community and support Hedera and listen to music, I think that's a winner. So I really appreciate your coming on and letting the community know all about Sikhi. And
absolutely. And everybody, if you want to join the Discord, I know we have some giveaways coming up on there soon too. So, thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate all of your time.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lance, for coming, and Alex and Chris and Gianni and everyone in the listeners, all the Hederians. We really appreciate it. Without you, nothing. It's all about the community.